hour to a topic we have been covering very heavily on the show, and that is the hateful language of the left. Now, it is spewed by liberals day in and day out, and the elite media, well, it gives it all a pass until, of course, it is a conservative who has a verbal slip. So tonight, we will take a comprehensive look at just how rampant their liberal hate speech is. We will expose the hypocrisy of those who call for civil discourse but don't practice what they preach. And you will also hear from the people who are ruthlessly and relentlessly targeted by liberal haters and held up in ridicule in news outlets that herald themselves as impartial and honest. And that's where we begin tonight's special, with a woman that is perhaps the most vilified and most targeted. That's former vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin. From her family to her appearance, she has been called every name in the book. Let's take a look.
I know why you're happy today. The good news is Sarah Palin can complete a sentence. I don't know. I'm old-fashioned. I believe the vice president isn't supposed to sound like the host of Romper Room.
Sarah Palin proved herself to be, I think she's proven herself to be profoundly stupid.
I hope Sarah Palin gets in so that they split the MILF vote.
Number two, bought makeup at Bloomingdale's to update her slutty flight attendant look.
Oh, speaking of dumb.
Now, I'd like to say this is the worst of it, but sadly it's not. Joining me now to respond is Governor Palin, former Governor of Alaska, and Fox News contributor. Governor, good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Of course, Sean. Thank you.
I ask on a personal toll, because I'm going to get into some things involving your family that have been said about your kids and you and your looks, and on every level you've been attacked. Does this take a personal toll? Does this impact your family?
Well, you know, when the attacks are against me, politically especially, it doesn't really bother me because I know what's really important and I know what truth is. But I do have to admit, when the shots are taken at, especially my youngest, my son who has Down syndrome, and others with special needs in this wonderful country of ours, then those I do take personally. Those shots hurt, and I sure wish that there was more that I could do about those attacks on the defenseless. I wish that I could defend them more.
You know, I think that's very well said, and I think any parent would understand this. And this is what makes, you know, this hypocrisy issue so transparent to me. And actually, I got to give a lot of credit to your daughter, Bristol. Now, for example, Michelle Obama just showed up on the David Letterman program. And this is what he had said about your daughter.
One awkward moment, though, during the game. Maybe you heard about it. Maybe you saw it on one of the highlight reels. One awkward moment for Sarah Palin at the Yankee game. During the 7th inning, her daughter was knocked up by Alex Rodriguez.
Now, this is interesting. Why would the First Lady, the week after the president, you know, lectures the country on civility and calls Sandra Fluck, why would she go on that program?
Yeah, see, you have a choice as to whether you will participate in that environment of the Lenos, or not necessarily Jay Leno. He's been relatively good, but the Lettermans, the Bill Maher's, some of the ESPN sports network teams even that have been really ruthless against unwed teenage mothers and those with handicaps and women and Christians and conservatives. You have a choice as to whether you'll perpetuate what it is that they spew by being a participant or not. And, you know, I choose not to. These guys who have asked me, these hosts of these programs who have asked me over and over again over these years if I would come on and be a guest, and they promise to be fair, and they still don't get it, why I continue to say, no, thank you. You know, I choose to participate in some healthier, more productive venues, and you have a choice whether you're going to be a participant or not.
You know, I bet you're very proud of your daughter, Bristol. She wrote an open letter to the president. The headline of it was, Mr. President, when should I expect your call? And she was talking about the Sandra Fluck issue. And when the president spoke out about this, he mentioned his daughters. And your daughter said, you know what, your kids should be able to speak their minds and engage the culture. I look forward to seeing the good things that Malia and Sasha end up doing. But here's why I'm a little surprised my phone hasn't rung. Your $1 million donor, Bill Maher, has said reprehensible things about my family. He made fun of my brother because of his Down syndrome. He said I was blank so hard the baby fell out. And in a classy move, he did this while his producers put up the cover of my book, which tells about the forgiveness and redemption that I found in God after my past public mistakes. I read that and I'm thinking, this is a great point. Why does the president lecture us about civility, talk about his own kids, which I want to keep his kids out of it. They seem like great kids. And call Sandra Fluck and take $1 million from Bill Maher, who has said horrific things about you, about your family, about your daughter, about Rick Santorum's family, about Rick Santorum's kids. And, you know, why? How do we explain this?
Yeah, I was very proud of Bristol also for making those good points, and she's a strong, independent young woman who has taken full responsibility for her past actions that have resulted in kind of a premature ending of her adolescence and being thrust into adulthood as she is. Part of that is trying to hold others accountable when they really mercilessly attack others, as Bill Maher did. And here the president just, so proudly accepts $1 million dirty money from Bill Maher. But Bristol wrote that letter, I think, a bit tongue-in-cheek, knowing that, of course, the president would never, apologize to the other side of the aisle, if you will, because he has a track record of that. And I think Bristol understands, too, that even with Bill Maher now with this a bit of a nebulous apology or a ceasefire call. No, it wasn't.
He wants the freedom to keep doing it. He's basically saying, I won't attack anybody, but we can all use this horrible language. I don't care about Bill Maher. I'm not going to boycott HBO, but it's the left that wants to silence talk radio. And it's the left that has selective moral outrage. And your daughter actually referred to this. She said that the president seems only willing to defend certain women, that he's willing to take a moral stand when you know your liberal supporters stand behind you. I wonder if Rush donated $1 million to a super PAC, if Rush would have a pass to say anything he wants.
Well, that goes back to the point I was going to make about Bill Maher's quasi-ceasefire call. Bristol understands, too, that the repentance of a hypocrite is itself hypocrisy when that repentance is just done for an allowance, a continued allowance to do what they've done in the past, and they want, kind of a free ticket to keep on writing. It's ridiculous. I think, though, too, what we have seen from the top, from our president on down, kind of the point that Bristol was trying to make in calling out the president and the hypocrisy there on the left is our own president mocking children and adults with special needs, as he referred mockingly on a late night talk show about acting goofy like those in the Special Olympics. That was kind of a hurtful thing for the heart of our country, and I don't think the president ever apologized for that. He's got very selective ways of showing compassion and feeling America's pain. Bristol, I think, was just kind of pointing out some of that, and I think it was very effective the way she did it.
We got to roll, but I think the best line in your daughter's open letter to the president, when he said that if Maher talked about the president's daughters the way that they talked about her and you and your family, that he would return his dirty money and the Secret Service would probably have to restrain him. I think that was dead on accurate.
Yeah.
Governor,
that's dead on accurate, yeah.
I appreciate you being with us. One of the things I admire the most about you is you've taken all these hits and you keep standing up for what you believe in, and you don't retreat. So thanks for being with us.
Hey, Sean, one other thing, though, when it comes to our president and what he focuses on and who he apologizes to and who he wants to provide, say, benefits to, you have to ask yourself, if he were in a position, as other families were in raising a child with special needs, if he were in a position of maybe having served in the United States military or had a spouse or a loved one, a child who would serve in the military, would he be cutting their benefits and the troop numbers and the equipment that they need? All those things that many of us in everyday average American life, those things that we live through and deal with because of the president's policies, you wonder, if he were in our shoes, would he make the same decisions and say the same things that he's saying today?
All right, Governor, as always, I think that you answered your own question. Thank you for being with us, and we appreciate it. And coming up, liberal hate speech goes